Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to the Maker of Hbo YouTube channel. I'm Bryce, and this is another episode of Coffee and Kernels, where we talk all about the world of movies, video games, TV shows, and all the glorious things going on within them. So, for today's show, we're going to talk about one thing and one thing only, and that is going to be some of the best streaming services around, or at least the ones that I use, in order to get as much content as I can possible, and also to kind of help you narrow down what to subscribe to and maybe what to just kind of skip. In a world where we've got so many options out there, I figured that I would just add my voice and my opinion to maybe help you make your own decisions on which streaming service to subscribe to. Maybe you can only subscribe to one or two, or maybe even one. Or if you can subscribe to more than that, good on you, because that's exciting stuff. Still, ladies and gentlemen, before I continue, I just want to invite you to like, comment, subscribe, or check out any of these other great playlists if you'd like to join in on the channel and get in on the fun. I sure do appreciate it. And now, before we get into this discussion, I'm going to pick 3 of my favorite streaming services to use. I'll go in order from 3, 2, and 1. I'll give some of the pros and cons to each, and also maybe some other pricing options which add into their flexibility, which is what makes them great. So, a couple of other parameters for this discussion. One thing I want to say, I haven't utilized every single streaming service out there known to man. There are probably some popular ones out there that I either didn't think of or I just haven't tried. For example, I have not tried Paramount Plus. I've just never had an incentive to, and I just don't want to add in another streaming service for that reason. However, most of the other ones I have used. Just for clarity's sake, the ones that I have used include Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus, Netflix, HBO Max, Peacock, and also, I'm trying to think if I'm missing any. I think those are all the ones that I've used. So I have used 6 in my time on this earth. I think I said Netflix already. Yeah, I said Netflix already. And also Amazon Prime Video. I almost forgot about that. I have not used Apple TV either, so that's just something to keep in mind overall too. So, with all those caveats in mind and with everything down and out of the way, we'll go ahead and we'll just get started off with my third favorite streaming service to subscribe to, which is Netflix. So Netflix, you all know as the OG of streaming services. It started out as a ship or a mail order sort of catalog service where you could go online, rent a movie, they'd send you the disc, and then you could just kind of keep it for however long you wanted, and you just pay a monthly subscription fee. And since then, it has turned into a digital streaming giant with over 200 million subscribers, if I'm not mistaken, and it's making it the most popular streaming service out there in terms of subscription numbers. Now, Netflix does a lot of things right and a lot of things not so right. Some of the things that they do very, very well is the fact that they have quite a good library, and historically speaking, they've always had a great library. You can find quite a few great movies and TV shows on there. The Office was on there for a really, really long time. Parks and Rec was also as well. I watched both of those shows on Netflix. The only thing that I guess comes as a caveat with that is the fact that both of those shows are no longer on Netflix, which is a really, which is a really big bummer overall, and that's just kind of the churn and burn of streaming services overall. But nonetheless, they've got a lot of great movies and TV shows on there, and they continue to make their own content as well. Some other great movies I've seen on Netflix, The Terminal I just saw recently with Tom Hanks. That's a great movie, and I'm sure there's hundreds of others that I just can't think of off the top of my head, because like I said, I've seen so many movies and TV shows on these services that it's hard for me to keep all of them straight. And it's kind of a perfect segue, actually, into talking about their original content, including their movies and TV shows. Netflix does TV shows, I think, better than any other streaming service in the entire world. Their original TV shows are really awesome. Like, just about most of the TV shows I've seen them do are quite great. Some notable ones that you've probably seen, The Queen's Gambit with Anya Taylor-Joy is one that's kind of taken the world by storm. Stranger Things is another grossly popular one. I remember watching the entire first season all in one night with a friend of mine while we did security for an event, and that was a ton of fun, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. But there's a lot of great content out there to see as well. Some of their original movies are quite good. The Trial of the Chicago 7 was one of my favorite movies of 2020, and it was just quite excellent. I was super pumped by the time the movie was over, and I found myself learning a lot. And even some of their library movies that aren't insanely popular, I end up enjoying by and large. There is one particular movie I think called, I don't think it's The Sitter, but it's basically about this kid who has this babysitter who's like made a pact with the underworld or something like that. I wish I remembered the name of it off the top of my head, but for the sake of time, I'll just kind of move on into the next pro and con. And that leads me into a con, actually, which is although Netflix does have some great movies, a lot of the original movies they make are what many would dub as not good or maybe even just crap. Somebody put it to me this way, like for every however many movies Netflix puts out, and they put out a lot of original movies, very few of them end up being very good at all. It seems like they take more of the quantity over quality approach, at least with their movies, because like I said, their TV shows are quite outstanding. But I think that's an area that Netflix could certainly improve in by and large, is just making better overall movies. I mean, I'm even worried for one of like some of their newer projects coming out, like some of the trailers I've seen just haven't been impressed with, and my anticipation is quite low for those projects. There's even one coming out with Gal Gadot, Dwayne the Rock Johnson, and Ryan Reynolds. I saw the trailer and I was just not impressed, and it's got me really worried for that Netflix movie whenever it comes out. So that's me kind of speaking ahead of its time, because time will only tell if the movie's any good. But Netflix could certainly improve in its original movie department overall. Now, another pro I want to get into for Netflix, and this to me is super intriguing. I think could open up a whole new world of possibilities to differentiate themselves. And they're actually starting to get into the gaming industry. For those of you who don't know, an article came out a few months ago now where Netflix has hired a former gaming executive in order to kind of help head up some sort of gaming department for them. Apparently, what they're trying to do is they're trying to replicate Apple's game arcade, kind of like mobile games, really small games, nothing like Xbox related, but smaller mobile games that you can stream right on their platform along with movies and TV shows. And I think that's a really great idea for them leading into the future. The more mediums I think they can get into, the better off they'll be, because like I said, they can differentiate themselves more along those lines. I'll link the video I did concerning that particular subject somewhere up here in the video so you guys can watch it if you're curious, but that's where I sort of stand with that. And the last pro I'll kind of get into with Netflix is the fact that their pricing plans are pretty reasonable and they're also pretty flexible. You can get a basic plan just for yourself where you can watch on one screen at a time for just $8.99 a month, or you can get their premium subscription, which costs up to $17.99 a month. And there's even another standard subscription somewhere in between, which I believe goes for $13.99 a month. So you've got some flexibility in that regard. If you're just a single person, don't share your Netflix account with anybody, the $9 plan will probably be a good fit for you. Still, my friends, for all those reasons, Netflix is my third favorite subscription service. Do you have Netflix? If so, do you enjoy it? Whatever you think, the comment section is. Let me know. Okay, my friends, so before I get into my second favorite streaming service, I just want to invite you again to like, comment, subscribe, or check out any of these other great playlists if you're enjoying videos just like these and want to get in on the fun. And I also, for you guys sticking around in this video, I want to give you another bonus service that you may not be aware of that you might want to replace cable with. And that's Fubo TV. So I tried Fubo TV a few times because I'm a big soccer fan, and obviously none of these streaming services have sports by and large, including a lot of the soccer games and even football games that I watch. So Fubo TV is a really good service for that. It's primarily just for cable. It doesn't really have original content, at least that I know of. So if you guys are looking for an alternative to cable, Fubo might be an alternative to check out as well. So that's just a little bonus for you guys. I believe it retails at $64.99 a month, which can be kind of steep depending on what you're looking for, but that's just something to keep in mind. Let's get into my second favorite streaming service in this video, which is going to be Disney Plus. Disney Plus has taken the world by storm, I would argue. They are already up to 160 million plus subscribers the last I checked, making it the second most popular streaming service in the world in terms of solely subscription numbers. And it's only been in existence for 2 years, and it just continues to get better and better. Now, what really makes Disney Plus special is quite a few things. The main thing is the fact that they have one of the most insane libraries out on the market, and the reason being is because of the fact that they own every Marvel title and every Marvel title that will come out and they'll exclusively stream on their platform. Every Star Wars title, which they also make and distribute just on that platform. A lot of historical Disney movies, any Disney movie you can think of since the dawn of time or TV show is on this platform, and they just keep continuing to push themselves and come out with new movies and TV shows, especially this year with Marvel, Loki, WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We all got just in 2021, and I believe trickling into 2020 alone. So they just keep churning out a ton of good stuff, and all those TV shows I liked to boot. It's not like any of them were really even bad at all. I mean, of course, not every episode was great, but by and large, a lot of the stuff was good. And even The Mandalorian, too. The Mandalorian was their first original TV show, and it took the world by storm, and it continues to be great. It stars Pedro Pascal. If you guys haven't seen it yet, highly recommend it if you're looking for something different. But like I said, every Disney movie you can possibly think of, and Disney makes a ton of movies and has made a ton of movies since the beginning. So the library content is really endless, and their user interface is quite easy to use. They categorize it in such a way that makes navigation relatively easy and also won't make you prone to scrolling forever and ever. That's one of my cons for Netflix, I guess I forgot to mention earlier, which is the fact that you could just scroll through Netflix forever and not watch anything. I mean, you could easily spend a half hour just kind of going through just trying to pick something to watch. But I will say Netflix has taken steps to kind of remediate that a little bit, so they're getting better. And I think a lot of it just comes to user interface design. So take that for what it is worth. Moving into other things I like and don't like so much about Disney Plus. One of the best parts about Disney Plus for me is the fact that they have the most insane flexibility I think I've seen in their plans. You can get just Disney Plus alone for $8.99 a month, but they also have this really great deal where you can package multiple streaming services of theirs into just one bundle for $14.70 a month, which is what I do. So you could bundle together Disney Plus, you could bundle together Hulu, and you could bundle together ESPN Plus, all of those jam packed together for just $14.70 a month, which to me is an incredible deal because ESPN Plus can take care of a ton of sports. If you're a sports fan, Hulu can take care of maybe some of the more adult content that Disney Plus doesn't have. Like for me, I love The Handmaid's Tale, and Disney Plus doesn't have those more adult TV shows on, so they push them to Hulu historically. So it kind of evens out all the weaknesses of Disney Plus if you just kind of pair them together with their other child, for lack of a better term, services that they have. So, and it's for a really reasonable price too. For me, $14.70 for essentially three streaming services in one and a more complete experience is totally worth it. So for that reason, it makes Disney Plus an extremely attractive option because with just your family, if you get Disney Plus, you can satisfy yourself. If you've got a young family at home, your kids can watch anything on Disney Plus. If you and your spouse or your partner want to watch something more adult, you've got Hulu for that. Or if you're just a sports nut and want to watch sports, like a soccer fan as myself, ESPN Plus can come in clutch for you. So a lot to love there with Disney Plus, a lot of flexibility, a lot of great original content, and they only keep making more, and their library is excellent. So for those reasons, Disney Plus is my second favorite service on this list, which will bring me into number one on my list of streaming services. And now that we're here at this point, I want to give you guys another TV streaming service that you could use in order to replace cable if you're looking to go off of a cable plan. One service I want to recommend to you that I've used in the past is YouTube TV. YouTube TV is quite incredible. They've got an insane library, an insane selection of channels, TV shows, movies, and all the sports you could ever want. I use YouTube TV a lot of times if I'm trying to get the Premier League because, like I said, I'm a really big soccer fan for my channel. You guys can probably tell. But YouTube TV is really good for that. Plus, they have unlimited DVR, which is nice. And you can even add on other services too, like the Hallmark Channel, HBO, HBO Go, HBO Max. You can add on a lot of that as a standalone channel in YouTube TV. And it's also the same price as Fubo TV, $64.99 a month as a service. So if you're looking for an alternative to cable, YouTube TV is certainly a good avenue for that. So my friends, Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the thumbs up button if you're enjoying videos just like these. Or if we've helped you out at all, let me know down in the comments. I would love to know if this video has kind of helped you make a decision on your streaming services or not. So, without further ado, the #1 streaming service that I enjoy and love and adore is HBO Max. HBO Max is probably a service that you're not subscribed to, but it is one of the most underrated services on the market. And I know what you're thinking. Because I thought the same thing at one time, which is, why would I get HBO Max? There's just not a lot of appeal. It doesn't have Star Wars. It doesn't have Queen's Gambit. It doesn't have a lot of those great, excellent TV shows and movies. However, you would be surprised as to how big their library is on HBO Max and continues to be. And you'd also be surprised at how many movies Warner Brothers has made, because Warner Brothers and HBO, same company. And as a result of that, it makes HBO Max's library like just clinically insane. Every movie that I have basically loved and adored throughout my entire life has made its way onto HBO Max at one point or another. Plus, a lot of new titles have been coming out on HBO Max. Some of their TV shows are fantastic. The Mayor of Easttown, I haven't seen it myself, but I know a lot of people just absolutely rave about it. And another great thing about HBO is the fact that they have the DC cinematic universe, which for me, I'm into superhero movies. It's something I enjoy. And for me to kind of discover the entire DC universe library in one place, that's a big pro for me. That's a really big pro. It's much like Disney Plus and Marvel, and it's just a really nice, a really nice thing to have overall. I mean, this morning, just for an example, I found the entire Matrix trilogy on there. I found a lot of Tyler Perry movies on there. I enjoy Tyler Perry movies. I found all of the Rush Hour movies on there. I found movies like Shazam on there. Like, every single movie or TV show I could think of from the past, it probably was made by Warner Brothers or one of their affiliates, and thus ends up on HBO Max. So if you're looking for a great library, HBO Max is pretty much unbeatable. I mean, of course, it doesn't have every single thing known to the planet, because some of those things are exclusive to Netflix and Disney Plus, but it's really hard to beat just what HBO Max has. So I would really encourage a lot of you to give it a shot as well. And another really nice thing with HBO Max, at least for 2021, and from a movie industry standpoint, this can be construed as a good thing or a bad thing depending on what side you're on. However, you as a consumer, I think this is a good thing for you. The fact that all of their movies that are being released in 2021 that are getting a theatrical release in theaters are also debuting the very same day on HBO Max. So if you don't feel safe because of the pandemic and you don't have a movie theater in your area, no problem. You can just pop on HBO Max and you can watch a lot of the movies that are coming out in theaters just in the comfort of your own home. So for the purpose of the pandemic, and maybe if you don't have a movie theater within like 100 miles or something crazy, maybe you live in a rural area, HBO Max has done really, really well in that respect. In terms of the movie industry, that's a whole nother conversation that I think it hurts the movie industry overall. But like I said, that's a whole nother topic for another time. And maybe I'll make my own standalone video surrounding that and why it hurts the movie industry, or why it could impact the movie industry, but we won't get into that right now. But anyways, so for that reason, HBO Max is quite a good pro. Like, for example, the Suicide Squad that just came out on HBO Max, it was debuted day and date. The movie Malignant, which I just reviewed actually today, it also debuted day and date on HBO Max. Space Jam: A New Legacy did as well, and all the rest of the movies for 2021 are going to as well. I will say, though, the one caveat is after this year, movies are going to go back to an exclusive theatrical release, meaning those that release in theaters won't also debut on HBO Max. They'll have like a 45-day delay between when they hit the theaters and when they hit HBO Max, or something along those lines. So that's just something to keep in mind. But for now, HBO Max has your back during the pandemic, which is just absolutely phenomenal. Another thing I really enjoy about HBO Max is the fact that, again, like the other two services I mentioned, they have some flexibility in their plan pricing, and that's gotten better actually as of late. HBO Max used to do this thing where they would charge you $14.99 a month flat, no ads, no other plans. That is their price, and that is their price alone. However, within the last 4 months, they have gotten wise, and they've introduced an ad-based plan, but it's $5 cheaper a month. So you can either get their ad-based plan for $9.99 a month, which I think is super reasonable for what they offer on their platform. And they've also got an ad-free plan, which is $14.99 a month. And you can choose either one depending on what your choice is. I know some people who say that they absolutely can't stand ads, especially during movies, so they opt for the $14.99 plan. Myself, I could tolerate ads and I could get the $9.99 plan, but I still have to go back and change that because I'm still on the $14.99 plan. I could save myself a few more bucks a month and get a streaming service, but for whatever reason, I just enjoy ad-free because it's nice, and only $5 a month saves me a little bit of time. Those are my top 3 streaming services to use for all those reasons. And again, that is Netflix at number 3, that is Disney Plus at number 2, and that is HBO Max at number 1. All are at reasonable prices and all offer great pros and cons for the entire family. So, my friends, I want to know what you think. What are your favorite streaming services? What are some streaming services that you use that I didn't mention that you absolutely love and would recommend? Whatever you think, you know where the comment section is. Let me know. Okay, so before I get going, there's a couple of other streaming services that I guess I just kind of want to touch upon and say their pros and cons, but maybe why they didn't make my list overall. One I want to touch upon is Peacock. Peacock is one I would say that isn't very popular, but is one that is up and coming. The one thing I really enjoy about Peacock is the fact that they have Premier League matches, and that's actually a reason why it almost made my top 3 list. But the problem is they're very inconsistent with the Premier League matches they offer, meaning that if for example, I'm a Manchester United fan, not every Manchester United game is on Peacock, which is a bummer because if I subscribe to Peacock, I might get a fraction of the matches that I want, and some of the bigger matches I just won't get because NBC puts them all on their TV networks, and if they're on their TV networks, they don't make it to Peacock until the next day. So that's a con, and a really big one that was a deal breaker for me. And I just don't think Peacock has quite a big enough library for me to really quantify it as my top 3, or really even a large enough streaming service to make my top 3. So for those reasons, I left Peacock off of that list. Another one that I use frequently that I didn't necessarily mention on its own in this list is Hulu. Now, I know I talked about Hulu being bundled with Disney Plus and ESPN Plus earlier, so that's kind of the caveat to this, but Hulu in and of itself, I don't think is one of the more excellent streaming services. The reason being is because their library isn't the strongest, and by and large, I can definitely tell it's more of a supplement to Disney Plus than anything else, because of the fact that a lot of Disney's more adult content makes its way to Hulu, which is fine with me because with the way Disney has everything set up, if you piece together Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus, you get a complete experience. So take that for what you will, but those are the reasons why those two didn't make my top 5. So, my friends, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Coffee and Kernels. Like, comment, subscribe, or check out any of these other great playlists to join in on fun. Once again, this has been the Banker of Hbo YouTube channel. I've been Bryce. Until next time, have a great day.